Welcome to the Postcast.
Postcast time.
All right, so Jamie, you've already gone on and did the randomizer to get our order.
Yes, and once again, I put my name in first. I know you guys don't believe me, but so the randomizer said Jen, Rhonda, Jamie, Tina. Tina, I know you hate being last. Sorry. You want to switch with me?
She can switch with me if she wants.
Uh-oh, we can't hear Tina.
Uh-oh.
I'll be fine, she said. Hopefully she's just kind of fading in. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. While she's trying to get that figured out, so what did you ladies think of the podcast being live?
I liked it. It was way easier.
I liked it too. I feel like if it was going to be an ongoing thing, though, we would need more of our traditional preparation happening.
Yes.
But I think that we did really well because we had a lot to talk about. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I suppose if we had a topic that we were all very opinionated about, it would be fine.
Or if we prepped and knew what we were going to kind of be discussing and we came in with our, guns loaded, that would be good too. So, yeah, because this is obviously like a really active thing that we're in the middle of right now, Nano is. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it being live, I'll be honest. Plus, there's no editing.
I know.
I mean, I do have to download it and make it into an audio for iTunes. But other than that, this is going to be an easy month for me.
Tina's calling help from the top of the stairs.
Oh.
It's just we can't hear her at all. She lost her voice one time at a writing retreat. That's why we're kind of laughing. Anyway, Tina, we can't hear you.
Tina, try restarting your computer and we'll just keep chatting about you. Because that's what we had to do last time. Is she had to restart. Remember that was that stuff. So all right, so
she's mad. She stormed out and slammed the door.
All right, so let's talk about Tina. She'll see this later.
Tina,
so tell the story.
Writer.
Yeah, tell the camp story. When we actually went on a nano camp.
Yes, she was well, I wouldn't say she was sick. It was more of a laryngitis type of thing. I don't know if it was contagious or not. None of us caught it. But she was going down and her voice was the primary symptom. So she was talking like this for a lot of it. And then we were just rollicking. Okay. I mean, we had the board games and fights about whose turn it was or whatever. And Tina went upstairs to take a shower and she was going to put Vapo Rub stuff in the shower to but she left it downstairs. So
her asthma was kicking up. Remember, that was part of the problem too, is that she had asthma as well.
Yeah. And so she didn't want to come down the stairs because that would just exacerbate the problem. She wanted someone to just bring her stuff up to her. So she's up at the top of the stairs going, help. Help. Can someone please bring up? And her voice was so pitiful sounding. And here's us. Nobody moved to take anything to her. And
nobody could hear her over me going, ha ha ha.
Yeah,
I still do that.
It was very much a great time. We talked a little bit about how it's too bad other people can't experience that. We talked a little bit about putting together some kind of a guide for planning such a retreat. I think we should try to make that happen.
I agree.
Do you agree, Tina?
No, we still can't hear her.
Can she unplug her headset? Nope. I see your lips. I'm a good lip reader. Can you hear me now? The answer is no.
Can you unplug your headphone?
I don't have my headphones in, I think she's saying.
Did you hit the mute button or anything on your computer?
Maybe she could try joining us from her phone instead of from the computer. Maybe that would help.
I wish we could figure out why, because mine does it occasionally too, but why this happens.
Hold on, do it again. Say something, Tina.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you a little bit now. So maybe it'll fade in. Do you have the volume up on your headset?
Yes.
All right. So right now we can sort of hear you, but you're last. So maybe by the time it's your turn, we'll be able to hear you a little better.
Can you try yelling?
Hello?
Oh, that's like the stairs.
I knew that it wasn't going to be any louder because it's technology. I just wanted to see her yell.
We told that story while you were.
I didn't actually turn my computer off. I just shut down everything I had open. So let me try that. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So, no problem. We have more stories about you to share.
My computer's a little slow, so.
What did she say?
My computer is a little slow.
That's
so
all right.
she was reluctant to actually do a full restart because of that.
So if you're investing $2 a month in our podcast, you're getting extra this month.
Yes.
It'll be an extra long postcast.
Help Tina buy new headphones. Pay $2 a month for. We will delegate some of that money to get her volume fixed back on her.
I don't think it's her headphones though. I think it has something to do with the laptop.
It's really weird. Why didn't we get just one person on this podcast to be someone who's really technologically like smart?
Well, the funny thing is, I think that we all thought we were somewhat technologically smart until we started doing this. Until the problems came, then we realized how dumb we actually are.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of old school. I plug in headphones. I feel like I'm going to have headphones at work. You know what I mean? Like the little elves inside the computer or whatever take what I say and run it across the airwaves. I don't even know. Like the whole thing is magic to me anyway. Like really, I'm talking to you guys. You're like 800 whatever miles away. And it is like the Jetsons, right? Like, so here we are talking to each other. I thought that was a bunch of baloney watching the Jetsons. Oh, right. Like TV where you can actually like talk to a person and see their face and it's like a phone. It's like weird, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah. I feel totally ripped off. We don't have that face machine though. We have our fake face for the TV.
No, it is totally like, here's mine. Here, hi. And now I'm back.
That's great.
So I'm Christian D Writers right now. But if you guys are like, if I was logged in as myself, you'd be the professional photo of me. Looking all like, like all brushed up and whatnot.
What I'm really disappointed about is that I can't put just like this random cube in my toaster oven and pull out a pizza in like, 3 seconds or whatever.
Or the Star Trek computer T at 85 degrees. Thank you. Earl Grey.
So this is totally a bunny trail, but you know how you can be like Alexa, whatever, and then Alexa will tell you the weather. So my sister found video of, that bass that hangs on your wall that'll sing, whatever. Well, they had hooked it up to work with their Alexa. So every time they say Alexa, whatever, the fish goes wop, 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 with its little bass mouth and tells you everything that Alexa would be telling you. So the fish will tell them the weather, or the fish isn't that funny?
That's the best.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'll have to like share that video with you guys in the comments because that you kind of get over the talking fish thing, but to have it be the Alexa, especially if it turns and looks at you when it like says
that's so creepy, but in a great way. All right, so if Tina never watches this is totally what we should do for her for Christmas.
Yes, that would be so funny.
She'll open up and be like, "Oh, I got a fish. Thanks."
Be careful how you wrap it though, so it doesn't seem like a warning.
She's from Alaska. It'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
She probably already has one.
Did you guys know that salmon fact?
If we could program Alexa to like do a bunch of salmon facts as she's opening it, that would be even better.
Alexa, what time of year do the salmon return? Yeah, it would be like really funny to ask it things that were pertinent to fish.
And to Alaska too, right? So
yes. All right. So what are we going to do to fill time while she's reloading her? I mean, I guess. So are we going to maybe even do that booklet one time? How to plan a writing retreat for your writing group?
Yeah, I really want to do that. I think it could be a little bit longer than a booklet too, because we can each kind of put in some of our own like insights and whatnot. But I also think, and I don't know, we probably should get some feedback on this, but I also think that eventually we should even host some camps.
No, that'd be fun.
It'd be fun to do something at some like campground or whatever, and have people come out and write.
Yes, and I think that we could even also do first how to like form a writing group. But we basically only have one trick: go to nano meetups. Look around for the like-minded people and don't be afraid to reach out, right?
Right. Yeah. Wear a Christian t-shirt so that when you walk in, everybody knows your people catch you right away.
Right.
I shouldn't do the halo thing anymore.
Halo.
Wear my halo.
Awesome.
I'm so sad.
Aw. Well, you can wear that as well as a t-shirt.
It is a really tricky thing, isn't it? Because I mean, so even if you try to start a writing group, like what if you get the people together and then it's like not a good fit and stuff? I mean, Rhonda, what if you would have had us to your house and didn't want us to come back? Like what would you have done?
I would have set up a fake meeting time at somewhere.
I forget. How did we meet, Rhonda? I know it was Nano, but how did you know? Like how, I mean, because for a little bit of background information for those of you watching, that was my very first Nano. And I only found out about Nano like a week before it started. So like it was kind of crazy for me. And within a couple of weeks, less than 2 weeks in, they discovered cancer. So my world kind of fell apart. So I didn't really participate a whole lot in that Nano, but Rhonda reached out to me as well as Vicky separately, and I don't remember how we found each other. Do you remember?
Yeah, well, I had, the Nano word sprints online. I had okay, so I'm a people watcher. I'm not gonna say I'm a creeper, really, but I'm a people watcher, and I just kinda sit back, and I was able to see all of you, for one thing, at the meetups, and I ended up sitting right next to Vicky anyway, so I got to know her pretty well, and, so anyway, I just watched you guys for a week or 2, and then on the sprints too. I think you were the only one that I ever saw on the sprints, and I thought, well, they seem to vet out okay, and, they seem okay. Let's give them a chance, because I really wanted to start a writing group, and because Gina is a fantastic writer, my daughter, and I wanted to get her involved. She had already started a novel, just without Nano at all, and so I wanted to encourage that. And then my mom has started, I don't know, a dozen novels probably in her life and has never finished them. So I thought, let's get Gina started. Let's get my mom finishing a couple novels, and then I'll go ahead and try to write one too. And let's get some other people. So it's not just me nagging them to write. So that's why I wanted a writing group. And I thought we had the room in my house. It seemed to be fairly central for most everybody except Vicky. So
did they mention at a write-in that when I wasn't there, did they mention that they had found cancer? Because I remember you reaching out to me out of the blue and telling me you were praying for me. So I don't remember how you found out, but maybe it was that way that the MLs.
Yeah, I think someone had mentioned it. I think that is how I found out. Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me. It really did, because you didn't really know me, but yet you were reaching out and praying for me. And at that point, like I was just overwhelmed with everything. The fact that I wasn't going to get to write, and the fact that who knew what was going to happen next. And here you were reaching out to me. That meant a lot. So
yeah. Well, as a believer, I have never appreciated people who are all in your face. I'm a Christian, so that's where all my opinions are based on. I'm not that kind of person, and I'm not going to. I really don't wear a halo out in public. So I try to find other ways to let people know that I'm a Christian, and so that was kind of my way of letting you know that I was praying for you.
So
and then the rest of you all met through Vicky, right? Like you all kind of had a connection to Vicky somehow.
Yeah. Well, one day they did, but I sat with Tina at the table, and then Jamie came in with her troop, and that's how I met her. And I think I asked Vicky if she could invite Tina because she had the connection to her.
And I think that was the week before I found out about the cancer. And I came in, I didn't think I was going to get to come. And I came in and I ran into Walmart and grabbed a pad of paper and a pen and came in. That was that week, right? And I didn't meet you guys, but I remember sitting behind you because I knew who Tina was because I knew some of her kids. But we were busy writing, so I didn't go over and say, "Hey, do you know who I am?" Like I didn't do that, right? So I remember that day only because it was like such a crazy day for me. And one of you had brought up that you remembered me like being like walking in and being like, "I'm here, I have a pen and paper," and you guys were like, "What?" So
okay, so Tina, I think you're still suffering because I saw you speaking, I saw your lips move, but I could barely hear you. Try again.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Ugh, what can we do, guys?
Try unplugging the headphones again this time. Let's see.
You just did? So it's your computer, it is not your headphones. It's better with your headphones.
Oh, better.
Yeah, you're there.
Oh, good.
Yay!
Yay.
Awesome.
See, we are really good with technology. Bang on the computer, plug in and plug out, and we're all set.
I really, really want to continue this conversation about how this all came together and stuff, but we're really short on time today because we have like mother and life activities going on. So thanks, guys, for letting me interrupt you there so we could kind of move things along.
No problem.
Okay, so who wants to talk about how feedback normally works? Not Jen. So Tina, normally what happens, Tina?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Normally what happens? Explain what we're doing here.
Normally we read the submitted pieces ahead of time, and then we come here and we put the person whoever's piece that we're critiquing goes into the silent booth. They can't talk, and we discuss their piece, and then we let them out, and then they get to give us feedback to our feedback.
All right, Rhonda, what's different about today?
Today, we're submitting something that we wrote, and it's not edited. Should not be edited. I didn't edit mine, so nobody else
didn't edit mine.
All right. So normally it would be a polished piece that we need good feedback on.
Right, like also, right, me and Brad, meaning the good and the bad. But because this is NaNoWriMo, we're trying to write without abandon. We're trying to lock up our inner editors just to get the words out. This time on the Postcast, sorry, y'all, we're just doing Brad. We're just doing encouragement and atta girls. So we could just cut the whole thing short and say, good job, everybody, keep writing. But we're not going to do that. We're going to actually discuss why we like what the other person has written. So Jen gets to be first. Are we still doing an isolation booth? We still going to make her not talk while we're discussing her piece?
I think we should call it the Chamber of Silence for her.
The Chamber of Silence.
Why? Why do you call that for me?
Makes it sound like torture.
Normally, we also ask each other what we're looking for in the critique, but we're not going to do that today because, you know, it's just for, so I'm looking for, I guess I am looking to see, you know,
we're not going to do that today. Oh, yes, we are.
You guys have already heard this, but the people watching haven't heard this. I submitted the chapter that I struggled with. Like, it was like making me literally stop my book because it just felt like it was going to be so much like info dump and whatever. So then when I finally got past that, like the rest of it has been flowing really well. So I guess I want to see if you guys feel that it was like boring or slow or info dumpy or whatever.
Okay.
And I want you to pat me on the back a lot. I
know. I was going to say it'll be kind of difficult to only be positive if you really want us to talk about info dump and stuff like that. But anyway, let's just see how this goes. This is the first time we're doing anything like this. So, okay, into the Chamber of Silence. Dun, dun, dun. With you. All right. So who's got something to say about this piece? Rhonda, Tina?
Well, I can tell you what my favorite lines are. When she's talking about Mrs. Sutton's writing, and she says it's like a figure skater.
Mm.
The pen went across the paper like a figure skater. I can't find it to tell you exactly what it said, but I loved that description. That was so awesome.
I like that as well. It was a standout line.
Mm-hmm.
Were there others, Tina?
I just really liked the whole, you know, she did give us some description and stuff, but I didn't feel like it was info dumpy. I felt like it was needed to like get the lay of the land. And it wasn't boring at all to me. So
Rhonda?
Well, I, for one, felt like I could see the building, the house, exactly. I think she described it perfectly. I will admit that Jen and I took a field trip last year to the places she's modeled this after, and I really think she did a good job describing like the boys' room and all that.
I think it's meaningful feedback because you were actually there. So, I mean, I think that that's really good that you would share that she nailed it or whatever.
Yeah, because if she was trying to make it like that and it sounded like we were right back in there, I think she did a good job on it. I didn't think it was boring. I don't think it was info dumpy. I mean, obviously this is a first or second draft, so obviously there's going to be some changes, but I think it was good. I was kind of surprised that Sarah didn't know that people who live on estates have pictures of their prized animals on the wall. I thought that in that time, it might be a little bit more familiar to people. But I mean, that's just, it kind of shows her character that she was giggly. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But
yeah, it's interesting because I was learning right alongside Sarah. So then I wonder now if you've been reading along in the series, you know that she comes from sort of a humble background. But that's a good question that you bring up, Rhonda. Like, would Sarah know that ahead of time? Like, I don't know because I mean, they were just like pastors' kids and not like rich pastor kids. So
Right.
that's a really good point there. That's really something to consider. I thought that the cows on the wall was interesting. And it's so funny because whenever I read historical, I'm like, wow, am I just really dumb? Or is everybody reading this historical novel learning along with me? Because it seems to me people who read historical love for people to also know things that they know.
Yes, it is.
Aha, you got the details right. And I don't know these details. So to me, it's an education and not so much let's see how historically accurate this person is going to be. I did love the whole scene with the kids, and I like that it's all Neverlandy, you know. And I wonder if it was an intentional choice of the reader or the author, because I think Sarah is a lot like Wendy and doesn't want to grow up, or no, like Peter and doesn't want to grow up, and then so she like really resonates with Peter Pan because she's forced into a world that she doesn't want to be a part of. So I think that that's very interesting if the author made that choice intentionally.
Wow, I'd like to hear that too. That's a really good point.
I mean, I could go on and on about how this writer does a great job writing. I mean, always with the bread that she's an excellent writer. So that's not any surprise there. And I think this is a good exercise. Like if people could look at this on the Patreon files or wherever they can see this. I don't know, Tina, you have to help me figure out where we put these. But anyway, she puts in X's if she doesn't remember the name, or if she's going to somehow describe something differently, she capitalizes the word swoopy. You can see she wants to say something different than swoopy, but couldn't think of it. And she was probably word sprinting and didn't want to take the time to get distracted and not keep writing. So this is a really good piece for people to examine to see how to do a draft when you're just trying to get the words out and not worry about details.
Yep. I did have one question about one line. Right at the bottom of the first page, it says, oh, shoot,
Sarah switched cheeks.
Yes, that's the line. So is she doing characterization here where she's saying that Sarah was starting to get offended and then she just...
I thought, yes, I had to read back, Rhonda, she's biting her cheek.
Oh,
Sarah,
you know what? I
did
read farther down and I realized, okay, that's right. Right.
So it did also hold me up. So the author, I would suggest maybe relooking at that during editing because same thing, Rhonda. I had to go back and say, oh, is she like biting her cheek? Is that because I did think it was a turn the other cheek kind of a thing. And I'm like, why does she have to turn the other cheek? What? Like I had the same feeling.
Yeah. But I don't know the movement like her biting her cheek, but maybe just worded different.
All right. So I think we can let her out unless you guys have something to add. All right. Come on out, Jen.
All right. That is really good for the cheek thing. And again, this was a sprint. So a few sprints actually. So I wouldn't have caught that originally as I was writing it. But all right. So let's talk about the Peter Pan thing. I don't know that I specifically thought I'm going to choose Peter Pan because she doesn't want to grow up. But I felt like as I was trying to like come up with what novel am I going to throw in here? Because I don't know if you've noticed in other things I've written that I like to reference classic literature. Peter Pan just made the most sense to me because of the time period and these boys, and her role with the boys is going to be kind of like the Wendy to them. And I just really loved that and you, because you haven't read everything in the other novels yet, I kind of leave little Easter eggs that she's really into reading. So she is well read. Like she has always kind of escaped into the world of novels, and so she has read this book obviously many times to be able to quote it right back to the boys. And so but so that was good. I kind of like that it did a double thing there, that she doesn't want to grow up, or that she needs to grow up, maybe. I don't know. So yeah, good stuff.
It's time to move out of the nursery.
Yeah. Yeah. And I needed a way for these boys who have kind of gone through a few governesses, kind of because they're naughty, and also because there's another element at play here that I hint at earlier in the novel, that I needed to find a way for her to be able to cement herself quickly with these boys, where the boys are like, all right, we don't want to lose this one, kind of a thing, you know? So, because that's important in the story too, that they have a relationship with her. So, and this was the best way that I came up with.
Well, and I think totally to that point, it's mission accomplished. I mean, you're sort of, it's so cute because you're kind of telling us why the joke is funny. You're saying, well, this is why I need to write this scene, but we all know because you nailed it. And you totally like ingratiated her with them right away. Like you totally mission accomplished with that, I think. Don't you ladies think?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But originally, Peter Pan, now that I think back, I chose Peter Pan only because I really wanted to describe the bedroom. And I wanted to show that this room has an upper room with a ladder to it. And this house was built in the 1920s. So the house that Rhonda hinted at is Meadowbrook Hall down in Oakland County here in Michigan. And when you tour it, you can see that the children's bedroom honestly has a second story playroom that you crawl up to. Now, it's not exactly the way I describe it, but that was the inspiration. And I was like, how am I going to say that there's this playroom without saying, oh, look, there's a ladder, you know? And so I'm like, I felt like the boy. So I really wanted a boy to jump on her. I wanted her to get knocked to the ground, like to be roughhoused, and because she was raised with all girls, and that Peter Pan just came to my mind immediately.
It's
I'm like,
wonderful. It's really wonderful.
yeah. So
except now I want peanut butter sandwich really bad.
I had one of those rooms in my room growing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that had like this ladder, and it stayed up against the wall, but I could pull it out so it was angled, and I wasn't allowed to put posters or anything on my wall in my room, but I could put them up there.
Was it a little opening that you crawled through and it was a completely different room? Because that's how this is down there.
Yeah.
It literally looks like just a window, and you crawl in and it opens. You're not allowed to crawl into it up down there. Everything is like roped off. But you crawl in and it's a completely different like room.
Yeah.
But the way I've written it is the way I've written it is that the room expands between the two bedrooms. And I can't remember if that's actually the truth.
It's a bridge.
There are two bedrooms. It's a bridge between the two. And I also have written it that there's a classroom between the two, which does not exist down there, but it fits for my story. So anyway, so yeah, I love Rhonda that you're able to say that that I nailed it. So I'm glad because I really want to nail it. So sweet. Thank you. All right. I feel well fed. Thank you, ladies.
Yay. Rhonda.
Okay.
What kind of feedback are you looking for, or just general, because this is nano, so leave me alone about feedback.
Well, do I need 3 scenes of this, or should I just get on with it already?
Okay.
And basically, just can you tell what's going on, and can you tell what the relationships are? And
okay. Be gone with you.
How great it is. All right. Bye.
She says
okay.
Bye.
So it's funny because, again, a really good exercise here in how to handle the challenge of writing for National Novel Writing Month. You're trying to write a novel in a month. And so you cannot sometimes make plot decisions. Like you just have to write the scenes as they come to you and then decide later what stays and what goes. So the author wisely changed a lot of her scenes into a different color of font. But it was difficult for me to decide, like, is she wanting to keep this stuff or not? So I guess we'll have to ask her when she comes out of the isolation booth, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
The scenes individually are wonderful. I had a hard time reconciling the third scene, but I think maybe it's because I read all of the different color stuff.
Oh. No, I purposely did not read. Like, you mean the light stuff that we're not supposed to read?
You followed the rules.
I did. I'm a rule follower. I thought, I was kind of wondering why she made it 3 different scenes. I felt like a lot of it read like it was as if it was one scene. It kind of was all kind of the same thing, but I mean, I could see doing 3 different scenes, but I loved how she talks about the pink skirt and how it's not like the skirt. It really isn't about the skirt at all. It's about her ex and about the feelings that come up whenever she thinks about things he'd said to her and the way he treated her. And so I thought that was well done. Like, instead of saying she had this ex-boyfriend that treated her really bad, no, instead of that, it's all about this pink skirt that he never would have approved of, and how originally she wasn't going to wear it. And then she decided, I'm going to do it. I'm no longer a mouse, so yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
And
Tina, I was kind of waiting for you to say something before I blabbed some more. So did you want? Because I have
No,
more to
I
say.
just pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. So I've been trying to find there was a line I really liked, and I've been trying to find it because now I can't remember what it was. So I'm just kind of like scanning.
Yes, the first scene is different because it's a different time. That's her and her girlfriend talking about the
Right.
date.
I just
And
realized
so,
that, yeah.
right. So 2 and 3, I do agree with Jennifer that they could be put together. And I do love the whole thing about the outfit. Like, great job. I mean, it's funny because, again, the writer here has her visual clues that she's writing from at the bottom of the document. And she did exactly mission accomplished. She did what she was told, right? She told herself, I need to write a scene that accomplishes X, Y, and Z. It's totally all done and done well. So good for her.
Mm-hmm. This might slip into meat, and I don't want me to do that, but I think that she changed characters' names in the middle of this. And the only reason why I said that is because I would want to know. Like, at one point, she called the guy Landon, I think, that she was going to be dating. Maybe I misread that. But then she said she could hear her mother talking to Donald. So I'm wondering if I tried rereading it and thought, no, I really think that she just changed the name. So, but maybe I'm wrong. So we'll have to ask her when she comes out. But that's not really meat, because like I'm shocked that I already messed up Sutton and Foley. So I want people to tell me that, like, so that I can fix it now.
Well, maybe you're just sensitive to that particular type of a nano error that people do.
Because I've done it just recently, probably.
Yeah, and it's funny that she has Biff. Biff was Biff when she did the writing exercise that we did.
Oh.
And now he's Ralph, which is actually like an onomatopoeia for the sound of throwing up.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I think that is why she changed his name to Ralph.
All I can imagine is Ralph Mouth. So, like, which fit with the time period. So I was like, that's where my headspace was as I was reading it. Ralph, yeah, I can see him, but he'd be laughing the whole time at her.
I wonder if people would know who Ralph Mouth is who are below a certain age, but I totally know what you're talking about. That's great.
One thing that tripped me up, and this is totally me, like, Jamie, you were talking about historical, and that, like, how you're like, oh, I'm learning along the way, and I never addressed this, but lots of times, like with the cow thing, the reason I made that in the story is because when I was standing in that room, I was shocked. I'm like, they have pictures of cows, like, in this very fancy, classy, rich office. There is farm animals on the wall. And so maybe she should have known that back then, but I really liked the experience that I had, and I kind of wanted to educate other people about that, like, So anyway, when I was reading hers, the stiletto thing, I thought, stilettos, that's way after this time period. And I literally went and looked, and I'm like, no, it isn't. Like, they had stilettos back then. So I learned something reading this. So I thought that was super cool.
It's really funny because I tripped up the same way, but I'm like, well, if Rhonda put it, I know it's true. Isn't that funny? Like, so I knew that. I'm like, well, it must be because here it is in Rhonda's book. Well, that's interesting, So I guess let that be a lesson to you. If you're a historical person, you could be leading someone down the wrong path. Like my son always complains, my sisters are trying to make me dumb, because they'll like tell him stuff that isn't really true, and then he'll be like mad about it. So you can't make your reader dumb by telling them stuff that is not historically accurate.
That's awesome.
And I love that she thinks about, if she's going to have a walk home, she better bring different shoes with her.
It shows a lot about the character.
I like the sensual details in, like scent. Senses, not sensual, like
Tina. Buffalo.
Like when she said
my seat, Tina.
She talks about how she rubbed the fabric on her cheek. I really like that. Like, there's a lot of that in there, and I really liked those details.
Sensual Seth scenes.
I'm just thinking, Seth's not really the sensual type of guy, but I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes.
And Rhonda, when she comes out, I need to ask her about putting the brooch on the shirt because I have poked holes in stuff that I'm very sad that I poked holes in. And I saw that she put pinned or whatever, like it was something she was not sure about how she was going to have the brooch applied. And I wondered if it was because it was going to make holes in that beautiful fabric or what. So that's a question I have for her when she comes out. And I'm done talking about it.
All right. You ready to let her out?
She's knocking. She's knocking on the door.
Yeah, she can come out. Is my opinion.
Yep. Yeah. Hi, Rhonda.
Jamie, your son is so adorable. He's just the cutest. Okay. One question. Landon is actually the name of the town.
Oh.
Not modeled in any way after Linden, or is it?
Oh.
So
that was just my stupidity.
No. I reread that sentence and you're totally right. I totally see why you would think that would be his name.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, and Jamie, yes, you're right. Once again about the names. Ralph, yes. Let's see what else. I'm so glad that you guys like the skirt because I'm really making a huge effort to show don't tell. And I mean like above board. Probably more than I need to, but so I'm glad that you guys like the skirt. Let's see. Jamie, about the brooch. Yes, I've had so many satin blouses, especially when I was a teenager, that I had a run in it from putting a pin on it. But Mom said the way that they used to get around it was they would pin it on before they even had it on their body. And then they would have it positioned exactly where they wanted it. And I don't know, girls were way more, I don't know.
Well, they had to take care of their stuff because you just couldn't replace things as easily.
Right.
So they were mindful and probably learned these ways to be mindful, from birth, right?
Right.
And they probably only had like a few good things. So.
Right. Tina, you said you liked her rubbing the fabric on her cheek. Mom kept trying to take that out. And I was like, no, it's staying. It is totally staying. Oh, Jamie, so you ended up reading all of that, even the light colored stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you did. And it wasn't intended for you to. I just sent you guys my rough draft or the draft I had of it right then. Some were different ideas, maybe if I wanted to go a little different way. And then some were the original that in a different sprint, I rewrote it. So I just, like you said, I didn't want to delete any words. So I just put it in the lighter color. So did you have any opinion about the stuff that was light?
No, I personally just appreciated getting to the date. Right. And so also, I loved the moment at the top of the stairs, but I know that in this alternate version, there's a meeting like in the location, which could also be really super good. So I basically couldn't prefer one over the other. My question was just going to be like, which of these is the reality? And I realized, well, the stuff that she has whited out is not the reality. So I love the moment at the top of the stairs. It's wonderful. But some of that, I think is probably really helpful for you that they had these little snippets of awkward conversation because it helps you kind of know who they are and how they interact. So whether or not they end up in the book, it was very good to read through and for you to probably write.
Well, I think the part where they're actually already at the restaurant and seated together, that down I probably will keep. But Mom was absolutely insistent that there is no excuse she could possibly have to meet him at the restaurant. So that was just a super quick rewrite of him meeting her there.
So because it just wouldn't be done, right?
Right.
Cool. Yep. So. See, that's great because again, you don't want to make me dumb. Make me
that's right.
It's okay. So for girls to be meeting boys instead of them coming to get her. So
yeah. Okay, I think that's all the excuses I had for everything you guys said. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. very much.
Well, I hope you feel like it was positive feedback and didn't.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, for sure. You should. For sure, this is something worth reading and worth continuing to write. I'm really enjoying this whole sort of scenario that you set up, and I really wonder if Ralph is going to show up at some point on their date.
And point out the
Would
pink
he do that?
skirt.
Ooh.
Oh, Jennifer. Oh, I'm writing it down.
And then will the new guy be like, actually, I think this color is quite charming or whatever,
Man, I love that.
In a slightly British accent.
I gave him that voice.
Oh.
Cheerio. I'll be checking out shop.
Oh, awesome. You feel well fed, Rhonda?
I do. Yes. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Great. So that means that Jamie is next.
Bye.
Bye. All right. She's ready for us just to get into it.
All right.
All right. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll tell you what my favorite line was. Maybe not line, but section of it is when all the pineapple was gone and she thought, did the chickens get it yet from the yard? There have been so many times as a mother that I was like, everybody got the delicious thing. And then I was like, I wanted a piece, So that was my favorite part. But
oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I like the whole thing. I cannot wait to read this book in entirety. I know I'm going to love it already. And I
like
also
when some of the
don't like Nana at all.
I know, right? Oh, I had a Nana in my life, just saying.
Oh.
I liked when the pineapple slid off of it and landed in the used kitty litter or whatever. And like she got caught picking it up and she's like, I'm not gonna put it back on the tray. Like
because she was going to.
Rinse it a bit.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love these characters. I really, really love Brianna. My heart aches for her already, as if she is my friend, and I just want to like reach out and say, "Get out, sister, get out. He is not worth it," And so I'm already like just great characterization as always. Great character.
Right.
I have to say, I loved it when Roy said he's a dad blasted Calvinist.
Oh yes, I know it.
I was cracking up.
Yeah, and I love her comeback for that too. Whether she's loud, I can't remember.
That whole section, I really love that whole section right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
About the Holy House of Miracles and all that.
Right.
So there's something in me. Go ahead, Rhonda.
No, you go ahead.
There's something in me that when I read any of the pieces from this that she's working on, that just like a sadness that I have for this character. But at the end of this, when she's talking about what is going to happen she's not explicit, but she leads us to know what's going to happen in the bedroom after the argument is over that her husband is having with the grandmother, and that she's going to pay for it in the bedroom. I got nauseous. Like I just was so heartbroken for this woman who was literally trapped in this situation. And so, which shows you that it's just so well done, because it felt so real to me that I was just nauseous over it.
Right. I was going to bring up the same part. I was wondering, I just can't wait to read the next part. I hope that we don't have to skip ahead like 10 chapters for the next one that we read, because I just want to know, does she feel like she's being abused, or does she feel like it's my wifely duty and this is just how it always is? Or, what is her mindset?
That's a good question. And the problem with what we're doing is we are going to be sharing next week. We have to share something we wrote in this week. We can't share something like if it's next, but we didn't write it this coming week, then like we're not technically supposed to share it. So I'm with you in that, but like I don't know. I don't know how far back this is. Like, did she write this at the beginning of last week and now she's written a ton and then we're gonna be way past it? I don't know. So we're probably gonna be getting snippets of each other's stories that are way out of place, but I'm sure it'll be good no matter what we get. So anything else other than the fact that it's just well written as usual, and it's just like
I'm just really curious about what the climax of this is going to be. She mentioned earlier that she was writing more about this woman rather than when she was talking about characters, she was talking about writing more about the woman rather than about any sort of a plot line or whatever. But I mean, there is a plot line going on in here, and I really want to know if the climax is going to be this woman's character arc, which I guess it would have to be, or if that's going to be combined with the other plot line running through the story.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense?
Yeah, because there is for sure a plot line. Jamie's discussed it with us, but it really is kind of more the story of the character, but how she reacts to what's going on, right? So that's a really good question for her. Is like, and she and I discussed this a little bit. Like, what is your actual plot point at the end of the first act? Is it this or this? And one of the things would be the actual events that are happening. The other thing is how this woman is reacting to it. So when we let her out, we'll have to have her discuss that with us. So
Well, she can't come out yet because we haven't heard from Tina.
Yes, you have. I said I like dead blasted Calvinists.
yeah.
This is just one of these things where you're like, what? Where's the rest?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's just so good, and I'm a bookworm, and I just want it now.
Mm-hmm.
Like that little girl on Willy Wonka.
And
I want it now.
The more she shares of this too, the more I'm really, really interested in Roy. I don't like him, which is the point. But like, okay, so he has an issue with Calvinists, but it seems like he has an issue with everybody, because then there's like she shared today in our quick write, like the TV evangelist or radio evangelist. He had a huge problem with that. So like what are his religious viewpoints? I think that does play into the story, and I'm wondering like at what point do we start to learn that? So
right. And is Nana like the cause of his terrible personality, or
instead of mommy issues, he's got grandmommy issues? Or wait, her name is Nana, but then she said that he was the nephew. So I was a little confused on that too, but that might have been a quick right thing. I don't know.
Well, if they all live in a compound, he might have grown up with her in the same way as if it was his grandma.
Yeah, maybe. Good questions.
Sorry,
were you ready to let her out?
Yeah.
All right,
Jamie.
Okay, I have to say, I'm so glad that you care about this character and that you did pick up on who she is, just even from this little bit that I wrote for you. So thank you. Appreciate that. I really like all the feedback. My thought was Nana was just what this woman just eventually was called by everybody. Like, I mean, she was Nana to somebody, but then it's just kind of what everybody started calling her. And I don't know how much that has to be explained or not. I mean, she isn't his grandma. And so I don't know, maybe somewhere that'll surface. Maybe that would be something interesting to explore on a day that I don't know what else I should write, is why is she called Nana by everybody. So yeah, as far as the story, there is like a plot to this story, and the problem is I have a real problem with comparison. And then I also have the same thing that every writer has going on. Am I just rewriting a book that I read once upon a time? And Stephen King wrote a book called The Stand, which it was interesting because I just recently read a review about it because this is on my mind. And I was worried that he had called his wiping out the planet illness similar to something that I'm calling the wiping out the planet illness. In the book, that's what happens. 2% of the population lives and everybody else dies from a virus, right? In Stephen King's book. It's not exactly the same thing that happens in my story, but it is everybody dying and everybody, whatever. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to rewrite that book. That's not really what I'm trying to do at all. And so then it puts every choice that I might make into some weird question hole that I have to like mine around it and figure out what I want to do, because there are other characters who have interesting lives that could be explored before they show up in Brianna's life, right? And I'm not really sure how important it is for the reader to know all of this before they show up on the scene. And Jen was kind of like, well, just write it and then submit it and let us tell you. And that's one strategy of how I'm maybe going to figure it out. But the problem is, so Stephen King set it up. He had this person, this person, this person, told you kind of their once upon a time for everybody, and then followed them all like through this story. And I can't even remember how he eventually picked a viewpoint to tell the story from. It was just a couple. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to write his book. This is not his book or whatever. But I do feel like I was very much influenced by his writing as a young person. So I don't even know why I'm telling you all of that, but just because choices that I have to make about how to tell the story, how many points of view am I going to have going on, etc. Right?
Right.
As far as Roy, oh, sorry, do you have something to say about that?
I was going to say something, but I don't want to interrupt your thought process. So
go ahead, because then I'm switching gears. So
okay. Now that you put it that way, I might have a different opinion about it. I kind of like the idea of you going back and visiting each person, which first of all will make your novel longer. But I like the idea of like starting off with Brianna and then building with all these different characters. And then what if by the end, I don't know what your climax is. I don't know how it's supposed to end, but what if even those characters slowly start to die off and you're left with just Brianna? You start with Brianna, you end with Brianna. The story expands with all these people, they interact and go. I don't know, that was just a thought. So go ahead.
Okay. So that is not my current ending, but it is a very acceptable thing to explore. So thank you for that. And then as far as Roy, like, so he's more or less like a cult leader type of a personality. So guess who has the truth? Roy has the truth, right? Mm-hmm. And so I really am not like, this is not really meant to be some kind of a Christian novel, but I mean, I don't think you can write a calamity that causes death all around you type of a book without exploring spirituality in the lives of the characters, because they're obviously going to be thinking about death, and the spiritual themes are heavy because he is who he is, and he is one of these people that thinks that he has a corner on the market of the truth. Him and his little posse of followers that he rails to on the internet, and so that's who he is. And the reasons why he's like that haven't been really talked about so far in the 24,000 words. Like, are people going to want to read this for 24,000 words? And so anyway, yeah, but I mean, I'm pretty happy with him. I'm glad you don't like Nana. She was supposed to maybe be really sweet and nice, but she turned out mean when I started writing her.
You?
Yeah, because I thought Brianna would be really sad that her one, like person in the house that was like kind to her, kind of whatever. But nope, poor Brianna doesn't get that. She gets just misery. And so yeah, I don't know if I talked about everything that you guys touched on.
I think so.
Awesome.
Good stuff, Jamie. Really enjoy it.
Thank you. I really appreciate. Oh, that's what I want to know. So I'm glad the whole like, well, now we're going to the bedroom and blah 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 is going to happen. So I mean, like, it was enough. You get the picture, but it wasn't like, why are you writing this? Kind of.
No, it was not too. It was not explicit at all. It was very well done, I thought.
Great.
Right. Speaking of The Stand, I'm sorry this isn't specifically about your book, but I guess in a roundabout way it is. Okay, so I saw the miniseries. I didn't read the book. But the way that they showed Nadine before the spawn making and then after, I thought was the most, whenever I think of show don't tell, I think that is the most perfect example of showing and not telling.
Mm-hmm.
Because that must have been horrific.
I have to say, just hearing you say that to me gives me so much comfort that I'm not writing the same book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's something I was going to say to you, is that how do you go through your life and be a writer and not read a book? There's got to be a little section of every book I've ever written in my life in every one that I've written so far, or every portion of a book I've written so far. So I don't think you should stress yourself out about that. You've got such your own voice. I would never think that this didn't occur to me. This was going to be like The Stand.
Right. Okay.
It sounds like it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And then the one lingering question will be how to start this book, because while the pineapple stuff is like interesting, I'm not sure it's exactly gripping for chapter 1, right? So
well, it may not be for you, but I want to know. I mean, I love that. It told me so much about her.
Okay.
Well, maybe like in the middle of the calamity, and then this is how it started, kind of thing.
Oh yeah, like sort of prologue-ish. I did start to write something and I hated it. It was like a doctor who was being talked to about these people who are suddenly dying or whatever. But I stopped writing that. So I did toy around with like, a different sort of starting situation. So that'll be something to decide later.
Does the pineapple have more of a meaning than just pineapple? Like, does it have something to do with a disease, or have something that can somehow show up later? I mean, that would be the other thing too. Like, that often we might read something and not realize how important it is to the story. We just are interested in it, and then later we're like, "Oh my gosh, the pineapple!" You know?
Maybe. I mean, it could be possible that way farther along in the book, they could all just wish that they could have some pineapple.
Right.
It's not going to be available. And she might just be like, well, I had pineapple then, even though life was, you know what I mean? Like how the Jews, we should go back and be slaves. So maybe. So that's really good to think about. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yay.
Great. All right, Tina. You are up next,
Bambina,
lady.
Tina Bambina. All right, let me pull up her document. Does she want to say what kind of feedback?
Just general. I wasn't looking for anything specific.
Awesome. Sorry, it's I'm trying to open, and for some reason, only your document is opening in LibreOffice, so it's taking just a second. So, is she in her isolation booth?
Yep.
Locked up.
So, guys, go ahead because I know what I'm going to say, but I want to have the document open. So, go for it.
Jen, you want to go or you want me to?
You go ahead, Rhonda.
Okay. All right. I know what kind of person. Oh shoot, I forget his name. Is it Seth?
Yes.
Seth. How could I forget? I know what he's supposed to turn out like, but to be honest with you, this is the opening scene, right? This is the very first scene of the book.
Not necessarily.
Oh, it's
no,
not. Okay.
It's not. It is not.
Okay. Well, let's pretend like this is the first scene in the book for me.
Okay.
And I would have no idea that he's the bad guy. Well, I mean, he's got a temper, but so many people have a temper, and that doesn't mean that they're an abuser. You know what I mean? But anyway, I really liked learning about him in this. And the whole time I was telling myself, don't get attached to him because you're not going to like him really soon. But I think she did a good job of showing his side of it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Seeing it from his viewpoint.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Rondo. If I didn't know that he was the bad guy, I would have thought that I was supposed to be sympathetic to him when I read this. I mean, it's giving us like good insight into him, and maybe that's what she wanted. Maybe like he's not turning out to be the bad guy that we originally thought he was gonna be. So that's what as I was reading, I'm like, well, I don't hate him yet. I'm like, oh, maybe that's the twist she's not told us yet. Maybe we don't need to hate him. So.
Exactly.
This is what I love about having word sprints where everybody's like, oh, I have to go. Oh, I have to go. And then it's just me and someone else because I had the author cornered and I was able to say to her, so what are you trying to do here or whatever? And in fact, remember when I said there was something I wanted to tell you when the podcast was over? And so Tina and I had this discussion that she kind of didn't really want there to be a clear person that you hated. So mission accomplished that she did exactly what she was trying to do so great job there. Because I also thought, what's so bad about having sort of a temper, right? I mean, so far he hasn't done anything super egregious. But what I wanted to say in the podcast is I wonder if that's why this not feeling much like a thriller is happening. Because if the reader doesn't sense any threat from Seth, then why is she acting so like, oh my goodness, maybe Seth is here, so he might yell at you or throw a coffee cup against the wall? Like, I mean, why is she being so panic-stricken every time he might be on the scene if he's really not a bad guy yet to us? Are we supposed to just kind of assume she has information that we don't? Would it make it easier for her if she just went ahead and made him horrible? Would it be easier for her to make the book feel like a thriller, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's a really good point when you put those things together. Yeah, because I remember her saying that now. Yeah.
I heard before that a mystery, you have to wait till the end of the book to find out who did it. And then a thriller is different because you know from the beginning who the bad guy is, but you just have to find out how the mystery is solved throughout the book. So that's supposed to be the difference between the two of them. And maybe this is just a drama.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a thriller?
I don't think so.
Because I like not hating him. You know, it makes me think.
So if you just call it a different genre, because I'm with you, she did exactly what she wanted to do. Do I like him or not? Like, what is she being ridiculous to run away, or is she right? Like, I love all of that and everything, but anybody looking for a thriller might be like, this is really letting me down. But if you're just looking for like a drama or like a mainstream piece, or even like you say, if there's a mystery component that gets solved at the end. So
I don't
very good.
I don't like that. I don't like him. I want to hate him. I really
Why?
like
You don't know his
want to.
story yet.
Huh?
You don't know his story. You don't know what she's doing with it.
I know,
Maybe
but I
she's,
know what I want the story to be.
Oh yes, because remember Jennifer was the one that kind of birthed the like main plot line. Like she was the one that came up with this is an abused woman who's like running for her life, who's, you know what I mean? And so she's a little bit married to the original concept of he's no good, dirty dog.
Right, so I'm gonna read it with different eyes than everybody else, and that's totally okay. And Tina had already told me that I might not be happy with what she was doing in the story, so I was kind of like waiting to see why I wasn't gonna be happy. So I'm still gonna dig my heels in and hate him no matter what.
Yeah, you know, right? Tina, I guess her next challenge will be converting Jennifer to a Seth lover. She's gonna have to, like, if she makes Tina sympathetic to Seth, she can count it as a win, I guess. Because I think Tina's goal with the book is really a good one. I mean, I think she's trying to be nuanced. She's trying to be like, you know, things aren't always cut and dry. And, you know, some people can blow stuff up in their head just based on how they were raised. I mean, you know, I think it's a worthy ambition. I think that you would have to, though, call it like literary or mainstream, or like you said, Rhonda, drama. I always have had problem with genre, like trying to categorize a book. Maybe it would be called cross genre or something like that, blended genre. I don't even know. But if she's going to continue in this trajectory, I would advise her to stop calling it a thriller if she's not going to have a clear antagonist from the beginning. And I'm glad, Rhonda, that my instincts match what you had learned previously about thrillers.
Yep. You got good instincts.
So anyway, that's not to say that I think it's great. It's really well done.
Yeah.
Like,
it's great writing. Characterization is great. Yeah. I don't want this to come off as critical, because she's done a really good job with this. I just don't like what she did.
Yeah.
So I do like it very well.
She knows I hope she knows I'm kidding.
I do like it because I like not knowing which way it's going. You know, is he the good guy? People run away to Alaska for all sorts of reasons. So, you know, have we been fooled this whole time? Is she not abused? Does she want to, I don't know, spend all their money on a new car and he doesn't want her to? You know, who knows? Who knows why people.
Maybe she's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Just absconded with his kid, just because.
Right.
So great. I'm done.
Me too.
You done, Rhonda? Okay. Come on out, Bambina. What do you have to say to us?
Well, thank you for your feedback, and your reactions are exactly what I was hoping for.
You were hoping I would hate it?
I wouldn't put it that way, but I do want it to be kind of ambiguous. Because I think that's how it is in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to write a book about domestic violence, I want it to be something that whoever's reading it can look at it and maybe, if they're in that situation, see themselves. So I'm fitting in domestic violence in some way with like all the characters' lives, and that'll come out later. But yeah, and I'm kind of, since I got to be careful what I say live online. But since I have experience with somebody who's similar to Seth, this person was extremely charming and likable until you got into the privacy of your own home. So I'm kind of patterning it that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and ultimately, when it comes down to it, Tina, like, you write your story. Like, I kid around and say that I don't like what you did, but you know I'm teasing you. But it's your story, and you know what direction it's going in. So the writing is good. It's written well. So you just take it where you know that it needs to go.
Right, and Rhonda, I had never read what you said about the thriller. So this isn't a thriller then, according to that definition. This would be more like a dramatic mystery or something like that. So, and I mean, I guess you can't really assign it a genre until it's all done.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But there's there's some scenes that you guys haven't read where she has bruises and her friend sees the bruises and says, you know, I can help you. And she kind of says, no, I just fell, you know, that kind of thing. And then when she realizes she has to get out, then she goes back to that friend for help. So we do kind of already know what he's like that there's bruises and all this. So,
well, then do you then really want him to be likable? I mean, just for the sake of the messaging in the book, because I'm just asking so we can have the conversation, because I do feel like a lot of times women will be in a relationship and they will tell themselves it really isn't that bad. I'm blowing things out of proportion. I'm being ridiculous, instead of like leaving. And so did you want to purposefully sort of like say, yes, that's true, because I mean, he's really not that, like, do you want to make him likable to us? Do you understand even what I'm trying to get at?
yeah, I feel like in these scenes that I gave you, there's things about him that are likable, and then there's things about him that are not likable. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Like his temper, and then the reaction of the female officer of, you know, this guy is, you know, maybe she had a reason to leave. So I want that kind of dichotomy. That's what I want. Between he's likable, he's not likable.
Well, because like for me, so the minute it is revealed to me, whether by a hint or otherwise, that he's beating her, he's a heel. And I won't see anything redeeming in his personality after that fact. So I don't know. I don't even know. I'm just telling you that, like, I don't know how early it gets revealed or when do we discover he's the bad guy if he's beating her. And that's the message that I feel should be telegraphed to women who might wonder, you know, maybe like, you know, you were talking about my character. This is just, you know, how men are, or kind of whatever. So it's really interesting. Again, it's your book and it's your story, and you're going to accomplish what you want to with it. It's just because we had talked about how you want this to be helpful to people who might be experiencing that situation. You know, do you want to mitigate or make it possible? Well, maybe she's the one who's no. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a deal breaker if you're being. I
can't really answer that question without revealing the twist at the end that I do.
Oh, okay.
But you have a valid point.
Okay, awesome. That's very exciting. Well, it's well written enough that I'm going to keep reading it to find out. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's good.
And if people will tune back in next week for our podcast, not only will you get to hear another quick write that we do based in the world of our novels for NaNoWriMo, but you can tune into next week's Postcast as well and get another good chunk of what we're writing this week. So
I have one more comment. I have one more comment. You just chill out for a second. Okay.
Oh.
You have one more line that my favorite line in the whole thing was the characterization of the cops. And I don't know if you intended this to sound like that or not, but when they say somebody ought to give him a ticket, commented the desk sergeant, that just makes me feel like, is she going to get any help anyway if she were to stay there? You know, are these cops just, they don't care as long as they have their donut? You know, are they good?
Yeah, I mean, so they didn't really help him, and they probably wouldn't help her. Like, so, and I think that that's excellent messaging in a book, because it's like when you feel like even the police couldn't help you, you know, what do you do and where do you turn? So
yeah, just that one sentence just characterized the whole thing for
me. I totally agree. Completely.
Good. Thanks.
Okay, I'm done now, Jen.
It was really weird because I had just muted my microphone and told my daughter to chill out. And then immediately Rhonda said, chill out. I'm like, did you guys hear me yelling at my daughter to chill out?
No, she was telling Jen to chill out because Jen was trying to end the postcast and Rhonda had something to say.
All right. Well, we got to go be moms and stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay, you're good, Jen.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.